Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another tutorial episode of War in the East 2. In this episode we will talk about what I call the ground unit basic info box. Briefly, the info box is a window that appears on the right hand side of the map whenever you select any unit, ground unit, present on the map. To select any ground unit, of course, you can you have to click with the left mouse button, and you see immediately that upon selecting a ground unit, the unit will be surrounded by this like purple pinkish square, and then this window will appear. This is the ground unit basic info box. Now, just out of curiosity, whenever you have a stack of either two or three units, like for instance in this case, the selected unit will always appear on top of the stack, and the selected unit info box will also have this kind of golden square around it. If you now click again, you will highlight, in this case, the 111th Infantry Division, and the info box of the selected unit will be surrounded by, again, this golden square. If you press shift and you click on both info boxes, now you will have both units selected. Now back to the 16th Panzer Division. Which kind of information you can get from the basic info box of this unit? Well, first of all, in the first line you can see the name of the unit, in this case the 16th Panzer Division. On the second line you see the HQ, the superior HQ to which this unit is currently attached to, which is in this case the 14th Motorized Army Corps. And then there are two numbers, 5/5. The first number indicates the distance in hexes between the unit and the superior HQ in the command hierarchy, and the second is the maximum range of that particular HQ. Well, which means that of course you may never want to go above the range, so you never want to have, I don't know, any number above the maximum range of the superior HQ to which this unit is attached to. On the central left part of the info box you have the unit symbol, which in this case is a division, and in particular is a tank, is an armored division. And then below the symbol I like to play with the attack combat value and the remaining movement points of the unit. And then in the, let's say, lower half of the info box, we do have a series of symbols. The very first symbol here, which looks like a kind of a worm with a narrow head, indicates the strategic movement points, or SMPs. SMPs are used to move units either via railway or via transport ships. These three symbols indicates respectively the manpower, physically the number of men you have, the number of guns, which includes mortars, howitzers, AT guns, flak guns, and the number of AFV, the armored fighting vehicles, so tanks, self-propelled guns, artillery, self-propelled artillery, assault guns, and so on and so forth. Then we do have these two symbols, the two crossed swords, and this symbol below it that I honestly I have no idea what it looks like. Some people can see a drop of sweat, but basically the first symbol indicates the combat preparation points, which tells you, let's say, it's an estimation of how ready this unit is for a fight. And the other symbol is the fatigue. Now, whenever you commit a unit to a fighting, the unit will lose combat preparation points and will gain fatigue. And the same happens when a unit moves into an enemy controlled hex. It will lose CVP and will gain fatigue. And of course, you Ideally, you may always want to have the CPP, the combat preparation points, as high as possible, like 100, and the fatigue as low as possible, like 0. And then we have the last three symbols, which indicates respectively the amount in percentage of supplies, the amount of fuel, and the amount of ammunition. Quick spoiler, in the next tutorial I will show you where to find the actual numbers of these percentages. And coming back to the, let's say, central right half of the infobox, basic infobox, we do have, in this case, two buttons. City forts. What city forts are? City forts are specific units designed to host more than 3 units within a certain hex. Actually, they can host up to 10 units inside. And fortresses, like the one of Odessa, the one of Sevastopol, and the one of Oranienbaum, I think is... Yeah, the Oranienbaum, they are incredibly powerful defensive tools. If you want to, like the Germans built the so-called Festungen, these city fortresses in 1943, 1944. You can do the same in War in the East too. If you want to hold out, I don't know, at Odessa, Sevastopol, Leningrad, Moscow, or Stalingrad. And then we have this button that, let's say, allows you to change the unit status. It allows you to change the unit status, but also gives you information about the status of the unit, which in this case is ready. If you look at, for instance, at many Red Army formations, like the 20th Tank Division, you see that it's currently unready, because it may be lacking equipment, it may be lacking manpower, or something like that. And then if you click on this, you can actually change the unit status, which in this case is set on refit. Now, when a unit is set on refit, it will be prioritized during the logistics phase in terms of receiving equipment and reinforcements. This is the, let's say, on-map way to really refill your division with replacements and reinforcements. And then we do have the reserve. The reserve status can be used if you want to keep a unit, let's say, in the second line of defense, but you want to use that unit in the both offensive and defensive combats. The reserve status allows the unit to participate in any combat within, let's say, 5 hexes, in this case, corresponding to the range of the HQ. So it means that in this case, because it's a 5 hexes HQ, if we put this unit here, 5 hexes from the unit and then we do have the reserve status. The reserve status, let's say, allows or can allow your unit to take part in both defensive and offensive combats, even if your unit is not directly involved on the front line. Let's say there is a range which corresponds to the range of the HQ, which in this case is 5 hexes. So if you have your 16th Panzer Division here in reserve, it can take part in combats stretching within 5 hexes of its position. And of course, if the unit takes part into any offensive or defensive combat, it will lose some of the movement points, because I think I mentioned, but combat and movements are both draining movement points. And that's partially it, because this is not all. If we select, for instance, an infantry division, some of them do have the option of making them static units. Now, a static unit is a unit that loses all of its vehicles, and if it's a normal infantry division, this division will lose all of its movement points but 2, because it basically gave up all of its vehicles, and it's literally moving everything on foot and horses. So this is actually something that the Germans did on the let's say Western Front in occupied France. The Germans converted some infantry divisions into static ones, and in case you think that you don't need a specific infantry division, you can just make it static for 1 or 2 or more turns. If you instead, let's say, demotorize a standard motorized division, of course the amount of trucks that you will gain will be much higher, and of course the amount of administrative points to pay will be equally higher, and this motorized infantry division will behave like a normal foot-borne infantry division with 16 movement points. There is, let's say, one last thing that I want to mention, and these are the HQs, because there are a few extra, let's say, information when you select a HQ unit. First of all, you see that we have the commander. We have the image of the commander, and then we do have the supply priority. If you left click, you can change the supply priority. Supply priority is very intuitive because it works during the logistics phase, and the way it works is that first of all the supplies will go to the units with the very high priority. Then, if you have supplies left, they will go to the units with the priority level of high or level 3, and so on and so forth. So, if you want to, if you think that you need to alter the supply priority of some of your units subordinated to this HQ, well, then you have to click here, and then the com report. It will open basically this window here, in which you will have a very detailed overview of all the units subordinated, in this case, to the 48th Motorized Army Corps. And then HQs do not have ammunition, but they do have this flag. This flag indicates the command power, which in this case is expressed as 4 out of 10. Again, 4 is the command power taken by the attached units, and 10 is the total command power that this particular HQ has. Basically, divisions take 2, let's say, points of command power, while anything between brigades, like the 8th SS Cavalry Brigade or regiments, they take they take 3 points of command power. So it's always more convenient. No, this one, yeah, more convenient to have entire divisions rather than 3 independent regiments. If we instead go to the army HQs, we do have an additional button, and this is the assault status. Now, assault armies are, as the name says, they are armies, let's say, poised for offensive operations. Units belonging to assault armies do have a much faster CPP gain during the logistics phase, and all of the units, the HQ units, do have a much higher command power, so they can command more units, because we can compare, for instance, the 1st Panzer Group to the 4th Army. The 4th Army has 27 command power, the 1st Panzer Group has 36, so 9 extra points of command power, and the same is true for the attached HQs. The 48th Motorized Army Corps has 10 command power, while the 7th Army Corps only has 9. And actually this is bad because you see that it's overloaded, basically. And the disadvantage of the assault armies is that units attached to the assault armies can only build fortifications to a level 1. But I may talk more about this when I will talk about fortifications. And I think, yeah, that's already it for this tutorial. This is the the basic unit info box. Have a look at it. Make sure you see. You need to get used to see all the problems that can arise from this window, from this info box, namely the CVP and the fatigue, and of course the amount of supplies, fuel, and ammunition. Well, I think, yeah, that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and before we go, let me tell you that in the next tutorial we will have a look at the advanced unit info box. But no spoiler for now. I'll see you all guys in the next tutorial.